I was awakened by the sound of the door opening. I was wearing my roommate's nightgown and sleeping in her bed. I glanced at my iPad. She came back quite early today. My head was spinning, and I struggled to sit up. A trace of doubt flashed through my mind. It's broad daylight. Why am I so sleepy? I forced myself to get out of bed, but my legs went weak, and I almost fell to the ground. I took a deep breath, but my limbs were weak, and I couldn't exert any strength at all. Alarm bells went off in my head. Something's wrong. Just then, I heard my roommate's voice downstairs. "You be quiet. Don't wake anyone up." A nonchalant male voice responded to her. "Didn't you drug her? She should be sleeping like a log by now, right?" I felt a chill run down my spine. A man. I subconsciously pulled at my clothes, but the thin camisole nightgown on my body couldn't give me any sense of security. Also, what's the deal with the drugs? My roommate smiled happily. "Fortunately, you drugged the milk, otherwise I wouldn't know what to do," she said fiercely to the upstairs bedroom. "Want to live for free?" No way. My heart sank. Recently, there have been several cases of rape and murder of women living alone in Mapletown, and the methods were extremely cruel. My roommate is a beautiful rich girl who lives alone in a villa in the suburbs. She is very scared and eager to find someone to accompany her. She invited me to live in the basement for free, and I could use her furniture, food, and even her clothes and cosmetics. All electronic products have no passwords and are not guarded against me. Just when I thought I had met a good person, she did such a thing. The man chuckled and walked up the stairs. "Come on, let me meet your good roommate." Say, wait. The roommate stopped him. What if she didn't drink the milk? The man was a little reluctant. It wouldn't be fun if she died all at once. The roommate's voice was serious. "Just in case." The man smiled indulgently. "Okay, listen to baby. Let's be safe." The next second, I heard a scalp, numbing, buzzing sound. I didn't want to use this directly. After all, this is your house. It's troublesome to clean up. Chenasaw. My mind went blank, and I sat down on the ground. "Oh, lady. Then you said that the perverted murderer in Mapletown used a chainsaw to commit the crime. Before committing the murderer first spread a white sheet on the bed, tied the victim's limbs, and dismembered the victim alive after the assault. The more the victim panicked, struggled, and begged for mercy, the more excited the murderer became. Finally, the white sheet turned red. The man yelled excitedly, 'Let's take your roommate and try out the new chainsaw.' The buzzing sound of the chainsaw was getting closer. My fingernails dug hard into my palms. The sharp pain brought my sluggish brain back to its senses. Calm down. Must be calm. As soon as the door opens, they will find me. I'm unarmed. My limbs are weak, and I'm no match for two people, one of whom is a man. The room is only this big. Even if I hide, they will find me sooner or later. Escape through the window won't work either. Even if I don't fall and get injured in my current physical condition, I won't be able to run very far. I can't avoid it. Must think of some way to distract them. I looked around and noticed the laser pointer on the table. At this point, I can only take a gamble. I picked up the laser pointer, walked to the bed, and stuck half of my body out. From this angle, I could just see the skylight in the basement. I pointed the laser at the skylight and shook it back and forth. Footsteps were getting closer and closer, and my heart was burning with anxiety. Please, must be awake. Fortunately, a few seconds later, a kitten appeared on the windowsill, jumping up and down, chasing the laser. I breathed a sigh of relief. I adopted a kitten on a whim a few days ago. I didn't tell my roommate because I was afraid she wouldn't want it, so I hid it in the basement. I wanted to stay and play for a while, but I didn't expect it to come in handy now. I manipulated the laser pointer and tried to lure the kitten towards a pile of debris on one side. The sound of the chainsaw was getting closer and closer, and it had reached the door. I'm running out of time. A drop of cold sweat oozed from my forehead. At this critical moment, the kitten finally pounced on the pile of debris, making a loud noise. Bang. What's that sound? The kitten continued to flutter, making a crackling sound. It seems to be coming from the basement. Let's go and see. The sound of footsteps gradually faded away, and I let out a deep breath. Safe for now. The kitten was still making noise in the basement, which could hold them off for a while. I didn't dare to be careless. I quickly changed back into my own clothes and tidied up the room, pretending that no one had been here. Fortunately, because I was afraid of disturbing my roommate, I was always careful when using her things, trying not to leave any traces of use. The noise in the basement grew louder, mixed with cat meows and messy footsteps. Not much time. I forced myself up, dragged my heavy body, and ran towards the door as fast as I could. As long as I escape, they won't find me, and it will be safe. But I couldn't open the door no matter what. My heart sank. They locked the door. What to do now? While I was hesitating, my roommate's scream suddenly came from the basement. Help! A terrible thought flashed through my mind. Did that man attack her? He treats his baby like this. So what about me? Footsteps came from the basement. Without time to think, I ran to the living room. There was a gap between the sofa and the wall I was thin and could just fit in. As soon as I heard the basement door opened, through the crack, I saw a tall, strong man holding a blood-stained chainsaw in his hand. It's just a cat. What's so scary? The man's voice was full of disappointment. Drops of bright red blood dripped from the edge of the chainsaw, and with a tick, it seemed to drip on the tip of my heart. A strong smell of blood permeated the air. The roommate's face was pale, and she stumbled out of the basement. So much blood. The man chuckled. You can't stand this little scene. Why? The news said that the women in Mapletown were all dismembered alive. Son. Imagine when the chainsaw touches the skin, blood splatters instantly, and the white wall turns red. He described the murder scene vividly, as if he had seen it with his own eyes. I covered my mouth and nose tightly, not daring to make a sound. Yuchi. The roommate obviously didn't like this bloody scene. Don't be afraid. It's all like this. The first time you'll get used to it. The man patted her head and comforted her softly. You are so stupid and timid. You can't live without me. Go to the sofa and rest for a while. Leave the rest to me. The roommate nodded and walked towards me. My heart skipped a beat. One more step, she will see me. Wait. A man suddenly stepped in front of her. He pointed the chainsaw at me and said, "Come out. I found you." All the blood in my body froze instantly. Damn it, found it. The whole room was terribly quiet. So quiet that you could hear a pin drop. My scalp tingled, and my heart beat so fast that it felt like it would burst out of my chest in the next second. What to do? Rush out and fight? No way. I immediately dismissed the idea. The effect of the drug has not yet passed, and my movements are much slower than usual. I am thin and petite. The man is tall and burly, and he is holding a chainsaw. I know very well what happens when flesh and blood meet a chainsaw. Come out now, and I'll give you a good time. Seeing that I didn't respond, the man impatiently took 2 steps closer and turned on the chainsaw. The buzzing sound pierced through my ears and went straight into my head. I didn't expect to be planted here today. I smiled shrilly, waiting for the final moment. But the man didn't come over. The next second, he turned off the chainsaw and laughed. Just kidding. There's no one there at all. I breathed a sigh of relief, my back already soaked in cold sweat. Scared you, baby? The roommate was ashamed and angry. Hate. The shudders of the two overlapped. Baby, go to the sofa. They came towards me. At this point, I can only use that method. As soon as the roommate's phone rings, both the phone and iPad will ring. When I went out, I deliberately put the iPad on the edge of the table. If there is an incoming call, the device will vibrate and become unstable. I took out my mobile phone and called my roommate through the dialing software. Who is it? The roommate took out her phone and happily, bong. There was a sudden noise upstairs. Who? The man raised his chainsaw. Go upstairs. Okay. After the two went upstairs, I hurried to the basement. They shouldn't come to the same place twice. But there was a lock on the basement door. Bad luck. I punched the wall, turned and went into the kitchen, and grabbed a kitchen knife. It seems that today they are determined not to let me live. The blade gleamed coldly, reflecting my determined face. Even if I die, I will drag someone down with me. After a while, the two returned to the living room. I hid behind the stairs, watching them coldly. The roommate frowned. So annoying. I just bought the iPad for a month, and the screen is broken. The man snorted. I told you a long time ago, don't buy such expensive and useless things, but you don't listen. Don't buy that LV bag either. Save the money to buy a house. The roommate was a little unhappy. I bought it with my own money. The man suddenly became furious. What is your money? My money. What is our relationship? Do we have to be so clear? Do you look down on me like your parents? The man's face was ferocious. He held a chainsaw and approached the roommate step by step. The roommate was terrified. What are you doing? Put down the chainsaw. Us just were the victims. As long as you are obedient, I will not hurt you. The man put down the chainsaw and his tone softened. Think about it. You had a falling out with your parents. They stopped your card, and now you can only live frugally. Your parents don't love you at all, only I truly love you. Let me keep all your money in the future. Financial management is such a brain-intensive thing. It's not suitable for you. I'm all for our future, baby. Okay, listen to you. The roommate was coaxed by the man's few words and fell into his arms softly. I couldn't help but curl my lips. Although it's like this now, I still feel sorry for my roommate. Her boyfriend is really not very good. The effect of the drug gradually wore off, and while they were not paying attention, I ran back upstairs. Fortunately, the sound of the chainsaw covered my voice. I got under the bed and took out an exquisite gift box. This is the underwear I specially selected for my roommate, and I originally planned to surprise her. But now, I had other ideas. I picked up a pen and paper and wrote explicit love words on the inside of my clothes. Then I crumpled up the underwear and stuffed it under the pillow. After doing all this, I hid under the bed with a sneer on my face. I'm looking forward to what your good boyfriend will do to you after seeing this gift. Also, I don't believe you sleep with the chainsaw. It didn't take long for the two to return to the bedroom. I've searched everywhere, inside and out, but I can't find anyone. The man put down the chainsaw and lay down on the bed. Wait. The roommate's voice was bone-chilling. I haven't checked under the bed yet. The man chuckled. Stop messing around, baby. The bed is so narrow. How could anyone hide there? That's not necessarily true. All right. The man got up lazily, pulled out the chainsaw. My hair stood on end. Damn it. They haven't even checked under the bed. The sound of the chainsaw sounded overhead. I shrank in the corner of the bed. My heart skipped a beat, and I clenched the kitchen knife. The space under the bed is narrow and inconvenient to move. Even a chainsaw is not easy to use. As long as he dares to come over, I will give him a knife. The man squatted down by the bed. I held my breath, my knuckles white with exertion. But instead of getting under the bed, he simply swept the chainsaw across. His sharp blade swept past the tip of my nose. My skull tingled and goosebumps popped up all over my body. The man pulled out the chainsaw. Demon to Morito. Don't worry, there's no one down there. Having survived the disaster, I collapsed on the ground, my whole body limp and weak. Okay, it's her luck that she's not home today. The roommate was very unwilling. The man chuckled. There is no one at all. Except for a cat in the basement, there's not even a ghost. Baby, are you in a bad mood and hallucinating? I find it funny. I'm not hallucinating. No way. The roommate muttered in dissatisfaction. Okay, it's over. The man suddenly pushed the roommate down on the bed. Since the roommate is not here, let's have fun with you. The roommate had a cottonish disgusting. There was the sound of bedboards creaking above my head, and the sound of saliva being exchanged. Suddenly, the man let out an angry shout. What is this? The roommate was stunned and incoherent. I don't know. I smiled inwardly. Looks like he found my gift. Slap. The roommate got slapped and fell heavily on the bed. Bitch. Actually brought a wild man back. The man became furious, panting, constantly obviously furious. You're still wearing the clothes I bought. You're so wild. I didn't cheat. Listen to my explanation. There was a sob in the roommate's voice. "It's her. It must be her." The man's voice was full of disgust. He pushed the roommate away heavily, got out of bed, and got up. "Who believes your nonsense? Do you think I'm stupid?" "What roommate? Did you make it up to lie to me?" "I." The roommate stumbled to the man's side, hugged his leg, and pleaded bitterly. "Don't go. Don't go. Get out." The man kicked the roommate away. "You really disgust me." He took the chainsaw and left without looking back. "Wait for me." The roommate chased out, but I still heard a bang, the sound of the door closing. The roommate's faint sobs came from downstairs. I crawled out from under the bed, so excited that I almost laughed out loud. I saw from the window that the man started the car and drove away. For a woman living alone, a chainsaw is a very good self-defense item. But now the chainsaw is gone. There are only two of us left at home. I shook the kitchen knife playfully. Although it's not as handy as a chainsaw, it can be used in a pinch. I stretched and stretched my stiff body, only to find a teddy bear on the bedside table. There is a red dot in the center of the pitch, black eyes. My smile froze. She actually installed surveillance. Roommate perspective. My name is Alice. After arguing with my parents, I moved out and lived in a villa in the suburbs. Their minds are full of pedantic ideas of being well matched, and they don't see Athens good at all. But recently, I found something wrong with my house. Food and daily necessities are consumed faster than usual. What's more frightening is that I always feel a pair of eyes watching me, which makes me hairy. It's like there's someone else living in the house besides me. But the money and valuables are intact. I can't find any concrete evidence, and I can't call the police. It happened that Ethan went on a business trip to a neighboring city, and I was the only one left at home. The TV is still talking about the chainsaw maniac. 3 people are already dead. I'm going crazy. So I asked netizens for help, and according to their suggestions, I bought pepper spray and a few jars with surveillance cameras installed. It just so happened that Ethan came back from a business trip, and I couldn't wait to call him over. He also intimately bought a chainsaw and drug. But after searching inside and out, I couldn't find the roommate. Ethan said that it might be the kitten in the basement that was causing trouble, and told me not to be too sensitive. Maybe it's because I'm nervous. But I didn't expect that Ethan, who looked very gentle, would cruelly cut the kitten in half with a chainsaw. Just when I was thinking about having sex with Ethan, I found a pair of semen-stained underwear under the pillow. I was terrified. Someone really broke into the house and got my panties dirty. But Ethan thought I was cheating, turned around and left. No matter how I explained it, he wouldn't listen. I sat on the floor of the living room alone, at a loss. How can I prove my innocence? Either way, surveillance. As long as he comes again next time, he will be photographed by the surveillance camera, which can prove my innocence. With a glimmer of hope, I turned on the bedroom surveillance. But I saw a scope, numbing scene. A short, thin man crawled out from under my bed. He was wearing tattered clothes. His hair was messy, his face was dirty, and his whole body looked very sloppy. He raised the kitchen knife and smiled at the camera. He is at home. My mind went blank. My knees went weak, and I collapsed to the ground. Quick, call the police. I pressed 911 with trembling hands. But before I could press the dial button, the phone screen suddenly went black, out of battery and shut down. But the charging cable is still in the bedroom. So is the pepper spray I bought online. It was already dark now, and I sat alone in the dark living room, tears streaming down my face. The other party has a knife, and I am empty-handed. What to do? Just then, I heard someone coming downstairs. Beautiful girl, don't cry. Brother is here to accompany you. The roommate is here to see me. I shuddered and stood up, gritted my teeth, and opened the door. Ring. It didn't take long for me to hear someone coming downstairs. The footsteps stopped in the living room for a while, then went straight to the door. Listening to the footsteps gradually fading away, I breathed a sigh of relief. Although I opened the door, I did not go out, but hid in the basement. The car was driven away by Ethan. I am not familiar with my neighbors, and the security room is far away. It is very likely that I will be caught before I can run forward. It's better to hide at home, wait for him to go out, lock the door, and then call the police. I pressed my ear against the wall, and after confirming that there was no sound in the room, I walked out of the basement. Just when I was about to lock the door, the man's laughter suddenly sounded behind me. Baby, I almost fell for your trick. I felt like falling into an ice cellar, my body trembling uncontrollably. The lock on the door is gone, so I guessed you were in the basement. The man sat on the sofa, grinned, revealing a mouthful of big yellow teeth. Beautiful girl, come play with brother. The man tucked the kitchen knife into his arms and rushed towards me. I screamed and ran into the basement, desperately. I wanted to close the door, but the man had already caught up and held the door with his hand. I tried my best to push the door back, but I, who is pampered and pampered, is no match for him at all. The door was pushed back by him, opening wider and wider. He stuck his head in through the crack of the door and looked at me playfully. He could have just pushed the door open, but he insisted on teasing me like a cat playing with a mouse. Beautiful girl, don't run away. Brother is very gentle. How about playing a role-playing game? You are an innocent girl, and I am a chainsaw maniac. Brother is better than your boyfriend. Boy, my girl. The man suddenly approached his face, almost touching my nose. A strong stench emanated from his mouth, and my stomach churned. I gritted my teeth and took the opportunity to poke his eyes with my fingers while the man was not paying attention. The man was caught off guard by me, covered his eyes, and took 2 steps back subconsciously. I seized the opportunity, kicked him away, and locked the door. After doing all this, I felt exhausted, leaned against the door, slowly sat on the ground, and gasped for breath. The man cursed behind the door, slamming on the door frantically. Little bitch, how dare you hit me? When I get my hands on you, I'll see how I deal with you. Sugar. The man slammed heavily on the door, and the door shook for a while. My nose was sore, and tears flowed down unconsciously. I have never regretted arguing and quarreling with my parents and moving out of the house like I do now. At this time, I really hope that Ethan is by my side. If he would believe me, it would be nice if he didn't leave with the chainsaw. The door was constantly being hit, and the gap was getting bigger and bigger. The basement door is the kind of interior wooden door that probably won't withstand brute force. At my feet was a pool of dried blood and the stiff body of a kitten. If I fell into his hands, this would be my end. I took a deep breath, calmed down, and ran into the house. There is another exit inside the basement, and you can go out to the underground parking lot. Although I might be caught at this point, I can only take a gamble. But as soon as I opened the door, I saw the man whinnied. Baby, see where you're going this time. I screamed in fright and immediately closed the door. But this time, he didn't give me a chance to repeat the old trick. He put one foot against the door, dodged into the room, and closed the door smoothly. I turned to run, but he grabbed my hair and slammed me to the ground. Ujich. Scalp, arms, legs. Nothing doesn't hurt. The man's mouth came closer and touched my ear. Baby, I know the exit of the basement better than you. After speaking, the man slapped me twice. I told you to be disobedient. This is your punishment. Itsa, poi, key holding, and holding a knife while following the victims. My head was buzzing, and my face was burning with pain. I struggled desperately, kicking and hitting, but the physical difference between men and women was too great for me to break free from his restraint. Let go of me. With a sudden thought, I kicked the man's vitals. The man's expression changed, and he easily blocked my leg, looking for death. He glared, fiercely grabbed my hair, and slammed my head against the wall. My face felt itchy, and I immediately smelled a trace of blood. The man was still not relieved. He punched and kicked me and slammed me against the wall, again and again. Bang, 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 bang. I cried and begged for mercy. Stop hitting, stop hitting. The man finally stopped, grabbed my hair, and forced me to look at him. You begged me. Please, please. I endured the humiliation, tears streaming down my face. That's good. The man was satisfied now. He stuck out his warm, sticky tongue and licked the blood from the corner of my lips. I smelled that sickening smell in the man's mouth again, and I couldn't help but turn my head away. This is just the beginning. Can't take it anymore. There's more fun to come later. Instead of being angry, the man smiled, revealing a mouthful of big yellow teeth. I bet you'll love this smell in a moment. He leaned over and breathed into my face on purpose. I held my breath and tried not to look at him. Did you like the surprise I gave you, the one under the pillow? Since I moved in, I've been thinking about you all the time, and I've been dreaming of this day. Thinking of that pair of underwear, I felt a chill and couldn't help but shudder. Listening to him, he should have been living in the house for several days. When I didn't know, someone was watching my every move in the dark, like a lurking poisonous snake, waiting for an opportunity to strike a fatal blow. He still had that kind of thought about me, and did that kind of thing. Fear and disgust spread from the bottom of my heart, as if thousands of ants crawled onto my sensitive, bare skin, making people tremble uncontrollably. My scalp went numb, and I couldn't help asking, "Who the hell are you?" Me. The man laughed. Of course, it's your dear roommate. Baby, it's just the kind you don't know. The man lifted my face enjoying my fear wantonly. Let's go to the sofa, baby. I'll find a way to remember this exciting time. He breathed into my ear. I promise you will never forget it. Nearly. I got goosebumps all over and pushed him away. No, let go of me, you rascal. He laughed while he ignored my struggle, rubbed my hair, and dragged me upstairs. He took me to the kitchen and poured a glass of drugged milk. Come on, drink it. So be good later. I tried to dodge back desperately, but he held my head down. He held the kitchen knife to my neck. Be good, drink it quickly. Don't force me to do it. Don't even think about resisting, and maybe with a shake of your hand, your neck will be cut off. When the time comes, poof, the whole wall will be red. It was like he had experienced it countless times. The sharp blade pressed against my skin, sending a chill. My hands were shaking uncontrollably. I looked at the milk and hesitated to move. He ran out of patience and poured the milk directly into my mouth. I choked and coughed non-stop, but some drugged milk was still swallowed by me. How does it taste to drink the drugged milk yourself? He looked at me playfully. I almost fell for you guys. Whether it was psychological or the effect of the medicine, I felt dizzy and nauseous. Vision gradually blurred. The short 20 years of my life flashed through my mind, and my heart was full of despair and unwillingness. I regret running away from home. I'm going to be tortured to death here today. Just when my heart was ashes, the door suddenly opened with a beep. Alice, where are you? Ethan is back. My hope of living rekindled. He must have realized something was wrong and came back to save me. Just as he was about to call for help, a man covered his mouth and dragged me to the corner. Toisse. The tip of the knife was against my neck. I swallowed and closed my mouth. Seeing that I didn't answer, Ethan walked in by himself. You have to transfer the money for the chainsaw to me, as well as the drug. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have wasted this money. My heart turned cold, not only because of what he said, but also because he wasn't holding a chainsaw. Tempted to turn my roommate. He walked towards us. Get out of the way. The man cursed in a low voice, staring at Ethan intently. We huddled in the corner, out of his sight. The man clenched the kitchen knife in his hand, his fingers white with force. My heart was in my throat. Although Ethan is tall and strong, the man has a knife in his hand. If there is a real fight, the outcome is uncertain. Ethan got closer and closer to us, and his tone became more and more impatient. May I speak up? Are you deaf? Ethan had his back to us, only 2 steps away. The man suddenly tensed up. Peeps. In an instant, the man pushed me aside and slashed at Ethan with the kitchen knife. I yelled desperately. Dutch. What? Ethan subconsciously took 2 steps to the left, dodging the blow. He turned his head and saw the man, holding the kitchen knife and me with my messy clothes. Ethan's face turned pale, and he immediately knelt down on the ground. Good man, spare my life. I didn't see anything. His body was trembling constantly. His head was hanging very low, almost touching the ground. You go on. I will never disturb you. No. The man played with the kitchen knife, looked at me, and smiled contemptuously. This is the man you are looking for. My face was burning hot, and I regretted being blind to be with him. Ethan smiled obtusely. Good man. Let me go. I promise not to call the police. The man chuckled playfully. What if I don't want to? Ethan looked at me and shouted suddenly. Quick. Do it. The man turned his head subconsciously, but saw that I was still maintaining my previous posture motionless. Taking advantage of the man turning his head, Ethan quickly got up, left me behind, and ran away without looking back. Damn it. The man's face changed, and he immediately chased after him. I gritted my teeth and got up, ran back to the bedroom as fast as I could, and locked the door. The top priority is to call the police. But my mobile phone was taken away by the man during the fight, and the touch screen of the iPad was also broken. I fell into deep despair. There were rolling sounds and fighting sounds downstairs. The drug gradually took effect. My head was dizzy, and my body became weaker and weaker. I held on, found the pepper spray, and hid behind the door. It would be great if I could get Ethan's phone. Suddenly, a thought flashed through my mind. Why is Ethan back? If it was just to get the chainsaw money, he could just send me a message or call me. There was no need to make a special trip. Unless he didn't bring his phone. So I came back here to get my phone. I got excited for a while, and my heart beat fast. Maybe the phone is in the bedroom. I quickly calmed down and carefully searched the places he had been. Sure enough, I found the phone at the head of the bed. I was ecstatic and immediately dialed the emergency number. I'm at 13 Greenwood Street. Someone broke in and robbed, and he has a knife. Help. Okay, Mom. We'll send someone right away. Just then, a creepy buzzing sound suddenly came from downstairs. My hand trembled and I hung up the phone. Then came a man's scream. The scream was heart-piercing, and then it stopped abruptly, like the last sound before death. The downstairs fell silent. It seems that the winner has been decided. I covered my mouth, tears streaming down my face. I couldn't be more familiar with that voice. The buzzing sound of the chainsaw grew louder. Someone is coming up with a chainsaw. I hugged myself into a ball, praying for the police to come quickly. In an instant, the sound of the chainsaw reached the door. Baby opened the door. Hijo mi, Deva. He's still alive. I was surprised and delighted, and hurried forward to open the door. But when my hand was on the doorknob, I suddenly thought of another possibility. Could he be being held hostage and tricked me into opening the door? Hurry up. The man outside continued to urge. I calmed down and said, I'm scared. Take a few steps back, and I'll open it. What a hassle. He was a little impatient, but stepped back as he said. I put my ear to the door and listened carefully, making sure there was only one person's footsteps before opening the door. It turned out to be Ethan. He was holding a chainsaw, half of his face covered in blood. Blood dripped from the edge of the saw tooth. The amount is much larger than that of a cat. I swallowed, not asking what it was. Don't worry, that man is dead. Ethan walked in, still holding the chainsaw. I suddenly noticed that he was wearing a pair of white latex gloves. My throat tightened. What is he doing with gloves? He noticed my gaze, smiled, and licked the bloodstain from the corner of his lips. Baby, don't be afraid. I'll be gentle. I'll be gentle. Calm down. Must be calm. I tried to force a smile. Ethan has always been gentle. Please. It really scared me to death just now. I would be dead without you. You are amazing. You actually killed the chainsaw maniac. What are you talking about, baby? Ethan raised his eyebrows, his blood-stained face. Unspeakably strange. It was your remake who died. I'm the real chainsaw maniac. Didn't you already guess it? Ethan raised the corners of his lips, looking at me playfully. He stared at me intently, noticing every subtle change, expression on my face. My heart skipped a beat. I subconsciously took a step back and forced a smile. You don't joke with me. Ethan yelled frantically. I'm the poor student your father sponsored. Your family looks down on me. I thought that if I chased you a fool, I would be able to eat your family's money. Unexpectedly, those two old guys drove you out without giving you a penny. They have another son. You are useless. My heart is extremely bitter. So, he was really with me for the money. All the so-called affection is fake. Now he sees me as a dead person, so he doesn't even bother to pretend. Think, you are a young lady. You spend money lavishly and buy a bunch of useless things. Sway, war. You can't make money, you can't serve people, and you want me to take care of you. I wanted to dump you a long time ago. Ethan's ferocious face was fully revealed, and he approached step by step, holding a chainsaw. I backed away, step by step dealing with him. He shouldn't know that I called the police. As long as I delay time, I can be saved. I said coldly, put down the chainsaw. Murder is against the law. You will pay for it. Illegal. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Ethan laughed wildly. I've killed so many people, so what if I have one more of you? Says, if I wasn't afraid of being discovered by the police, you would have been dismembered by me when I found out about the underwear. But now God helped me and sent a scapegoat. Teacher didn't help me to live then. Opportunity. How could I miss it? My heart sank. It seems that he is determined to kill me. Ethan started the chainsaw, and the buzzing sound went straight to my eardrums. I was already cornered, unable to retreat. It seems that there is no escape today. I pretended to be bitter and helpless to relax his vigilance. I turned sideways to block his view and secretly hid the pepper spray in my sleeve. Can I have a glass of drunk milk? He frowned, his eyes full of impatience. I looked into his eyes and pleaded in a low voice. For the sake of our good time, please give me a good time. Fine. He escorted me to the kitchen. Under his watchful eye, poured myself a full glass of milk and drank it all in one gulp. After drinking the milk, I will send you on your way. I pretended to be obedient, but secretly clenched the pepper spray. Baby, don't be afraid. It will be soon. The moment he raised his hand, I aimed at his eyes and sprayed pepper spray. Oh. He was caught off guard and sprayed all over his face. He clutched his eyes in pain, and the chainsaw fell aside. Now he can't see anything. My heart was beating wildly. I took the opportunity to grab the chainsaw and pushed it hard in his direction. Warm blood splattered all over me. He didn't move. The sound of police sirens came from a distance and got closer. I gasped for breath, touched my face, and sat down on the ground exhaustedly. He was right. You get used to it. Police officer, that's what happened. Although I was out of danger, thinking back to the experience just now, I still couldn't help but feel scared. The policeman treated my wound, considerately put a blanket on me and patted me on the shoulder to comfort me. Relax. It's okay now. I was still in shock, clutching the blanket tightly. I didn't expect Ethan to be the chainsaw maniac in Mapletown. The policeman frowned slightly. It wasn't him. The real killer was caught this morning. Officer. What? But the possibility of copycat crimes cannot be ruled out. I wanted to ask further, but the policeman was reluctant to disclose the details of the case. We have contacted your parents, and they are here now. I will take you there. Mom and Dad? I was eager to return home and didn't care about anything else. Seeing those two familiar faces, tears blurred my eyes. They didn't agree with me being with Ethan before, but I didn't listen to the advice. I fell out with them, and even said that I would sever ties with them. It turns out they were right. I was wronged and guilty. I couldn't help but feel, so Tim cried. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mom hugged me crying, and even my always serious dad had red eyes. Good boy. It's good that you're okay. I looked at them and asked cautiously, do you still recognize me as your daughter? Of course. Dad rubbed my head, his eyes full of lost and found joy. You are our baby. Mom wiped away her tears and laughed through her tears. Let's go home. I choked up. Okay. I'm back to my long-lost home. Everything is arranged, as before, except for an extra baby brother, who is still breastfeeding. I said I was tired and wanted to rest early. Mom and Dad didn't force it. They just said to call them if there was anything wrong. They're gone, and I'm alone in the house. I was tired after going through so much, but I was so excited that I couldn't sleep at all. Although there were some accidents, the plan was successful. I lay on the luxurious soft bed and smiled. Last year, I was dropped out of school because I failed too many subjects. Mom and Dad were very disappointed in me. They cut my pocket money and asked me to reflect on myself. But I'm still doing my own way. They only have me as a child, and their property will be mine sooner or later. What can they do to me? But I didn't expect that they would actually do IVF and get pregnant. I argued. I made trouble, but they were determined to start a new account. I tried both hard and soft, and tried every means, but I couldn't change their minds. So in a fit of anger, I started dating the poor student they sponsored, also our senior Lucas. Lucas is tall and handsome, excellent in character, and learning, and was once the captain of the school basketball team. But he comes from a remote mountainous area. His father died young, and he has a disabled mother, aging and sick grandparents, and 3 younger siblings. Mom and Dad panicked and wanted to persuade me to change my mind, but I was determined to be with Lucas. But they were really cruel. They cut off my credit card, except for the villa in the suburbs and the car. They didn't give me anything. I panicked. I just wanted to piss them off and make them regret it, but I didn't expect them to take it seriously. Lucas treats me very well. He is obedient to me, and he wants stars but not the moon. He just started working and doesn't have much money, but he spends money on me very generously, giving me 99 yuan if he has 100 yuan. But I'm not satisfied. In the past, when I bought shoes and bags, I never looked at the price. But now, when I go around an imported supermarket, I have to check the price tag 3 times. As time passed, I regretted it more and more, and naturally took out these dissatisfaction on him. But he doesn't fight back when he is beaten or scolded, and instead treats me twice as well. He said that he would work hard to make me live a good life, and one day he would get the approval of my parents. I scoffed at this. Even if he doesn't eat or drink and works hard, he still won't be able to earn a property in my family. How much is his kindness to me worth? I sincerely tried to make peace with my parents, but they had already been hurt by me and they had blacklisted all contact information. Just when I was at my wit's end, there was a chainsaw maniac in Mapletown. It just so happened that he went on a business trip to Mapletown to buy me an LV bag as a birthday present in order to earn more subsidies. I suddenly got an idea. What better way to experience the preciousness of family than to go through life and death? Lucas is a chainsaw maniac, and I'm an innocent girl who accidentally discovered her lover's secret. He wanted to silence me, but I fought back to the limit. It doesn't matter whether he is really a murderer, as long as others believe it. So I pretended to be scared, told him that I suspected someone was in the house, and used his account to buy chainsaws and drugs. At the same time, I used my own account to buy monitoring and pepper spray. I also trapped a stray cat, threw it in the basement, and specially placed a doll with surveillance on it. Anyone who looked at the surveillance at that time would think that he was cool by nature and abused small animals. Things went well as expected. Ethan took a chainsaw and searched the house with me. But in the basement, when it came time to attack the kitten, he hesitated. Not really. He has always been like this, gentle and polite, whether to people or animals. I have to push you, I said coldly. It's just a cat. What's so scary? He hesitated again. But want to live for free? No way. I stimulated him with words, hesitating and not responsible at all, not like a man. If you don't do anything, we'll break up. Sylvan, wait. Don't. I'll just do it. He was most afraid that I would be angry and ignore him. So he gritted his teeth and swung, blood staining the ground. After coming out of the basement, he vomited non-stop. So much blood. I patted him on the shoulder and comforted him kindly. It's okay, it's all like this. The first time, you'll get used to it. If you want to act, you have to act like it. We searched the whole house and finally went back to the bedroom. The surveillance camera captured the scene of him following me with a chainsaw. I apologized to him, saying that I was too sensitive and thought someone was at home. He smiled and hugged me in his arms, comforting me for a while. Between kisses, I closed my eyes and wondered whether to coax him into drinking the drugged food next, or just use pepper spray. How about asking him to play a role-playing game? He's a chainsaw maniac. I'm an innocent girl. This makes it more realistic. But at this moment, he found something under the pillow. A pair of semen-stained underwear. The blood all over my body froze. I didn't expect that someone really broke into the house, but he was furious. He didn't believe my words at all and left on the spot. I was really scared. I chased him out, but was thrown away by him. No matter how good-tempered he is, betrayal touches his bottom line. I tremblingly turned on the surveillance and saw a man crawling out from under the bed. I never thought that someone would actually break into the house. I regret it. For the first time, I believed in karma. I lied to him that there was someone at home trying to take the opportunity to kill him. Then someone really broke into the house and he left, escaping a catastrophe. But reality doesn't give me time to think about it at all. I was beaten up by the man, dragged into the kitchen, and drank drugged milk. He pinched my chin, pushed me down on the sofa with a smirk, and tore at my clothes. That stinky mouth came over, trying to kiss me. I closed my eyes, just hoping that everything would be over soon. But at this moment, Ethan actually came back. Alice, it was me who was impulsive. I believe you are not that kind of person. He saw the man in me. Our eyes met, and tears fell from my eyes. Ethan helped me. He let out a beastly roar and rushed towards the man. The man wanted to escape, but he was no match for him at all, and was subdued after a few blows. I shrank aside, trembling. I couldn't believe that someone who couldn't even bear to kill a cat would cut another person's throat without hesitation. Warm blood splashed all over him, staining half of his body red. He grabbed me, who was trembling, and hugged me. Alice, it's okay. It's okay. He muttered to himself. It was my fault that I shouldn't have left you alone. Fortunately, I'm back. My throat was astringent. I nestled in his arms, unable to utter a word, greedily absorbing the warmth. I admit at that moment, I was shaken. Clad in his arms, he stroked my back. It's okay. It's okay. Don't be afraid, I said. I will protect you all my life, and I will do what I say. I shuddered. Reason returned in an instant. I don't want to spend my whole life with you. The knife that killed the roommate was at hand. The blood hadn't dried yet, and it might still be warm. Very sharp, can kill with one blow. There is no surveillance in the living room. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. How could I miss it? Ethan, look over there. Taking advantage of his turning back, I slashed his throat with a knife. Blood gushed out, staining the wall red. His eyes were full of astonishment, and he made a sound from his mouth, but he couldn't utter a word. After more than 10 seconds, his eyes lost their brilliance forever. I was calm and composed, holding on to the effect of the medicine, arranged the scene, and reviewed what I said. Finally, he took out his mobile phone and dialed the emergency number. I was attacked by a murderer. Help. Although there were some accidents on the way, the plan went smoothly. No one found out the truth. I couldn't help but feel a little complacent. I'm such a genius. Next, get rid of that little bastard, and I'll be the only heir to my parents. I turned over in bed and smiled. I was woken up by the phone early the next morning. The police said that there are still some things that need to be understood about yesterday's case, and I need to cooperate. But as soon as they met, they handcuffed me. I was shocked and angry. What? You murdered Lucas? The policeman changed from yesterday's kindness to very severe. My face turned pale. I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm just a victim. Evidence. Where is the evidence? Evidence. See for yourself. The policeman's face was full of mockery. I could play the video. The location was the living room, which clearly captured what I did. I felt like falling into an ice cellar. For some ulterior motive, the intruder placed the doll with a surveillance camera in the living room. It is truly an unforgettable experience. My good roommate